Hey, everybody. Welcome back to this episode of Under the Tamarisk Tree. My name is Phil Harwood, and I'm joined by Tabitha Vetter, or
Hello.
TJ, as we're now calling her.
No.
Yes, 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 we are. And we are talking about stepping into freedom, designing the life you want. And this is our blog for the month. And so we're just going to kind of chat about it. And we included kind of five considerations in this blog, and we're just going to kind of roll through them. Well, before we get into number one, though, just generally, Tabitha, maybe you can kind of just share what the kind of b- premise of this, what's the foundation of this month's blog all about?
Well, the foundation of this month's blog is to address business owners in how to plan for their life once they exit their business. The Exit Planning Institute, they report that around 75% of business owners regret their exit within a year. And it's not because of the financial outcome, it's because they weren't prepared for life after the business. So that's what we're going to step into this month and take a
Mhm.
deeper dive.
Yeah, and it's a big deal. I mean, this is something that I talk about a lot when I'm talking to any other M&A advisor or anybody else involved in the succession planning world, exit planning world. This is a very, very common thing for owners to have regrets and to just be so focused on, the deal and the numbers and their financial side of things. They're really not taking the time to think about their life, what their life looks like beyond their exit, or sometimes they're not even doing succession planning because they have no idea what they potentially could do after they leave their business. So they're really paralyzed, and that's a problem because you know we need to be prepared and we need to get out ahead of this. And so part of it is recognizing that, hey, I am going to exit my business. I am going to have a life after I'm not the owner of this thing anymore. And what does that look like? So why don't we move into number one? Uh, the first consideration here in our blog for this month is redefining your identity beyond the business. So, Tabitha, can you kind of break this down for us?
Absolutely. After so many years of ownership, the title business owner can feel like more of like your identity than just rather, what your role is. And it's normal to feel a sense of uncertainty or loss when you're looking at your life beyond your business. Kind of reminds me of that book by the Kendrick brothers called Defined.
Mhm.
And it's about exploring your identity and who you truly are, not just what your life has come to define how you
Mhm.
come to define yourself and your role. And with business owners, they have a tendency to say, I am a business owner instead of
Mhm.
I own a business. So that's part of that identity. And planning ahead for this step in your life, you're going to want to think of some things like what drives you outside of your business. What are you
Mhm.
passionate about, or what do you want to be able to be passionate about outside of the business? And also how you want to contribute in new ways is another thing you should consider.
Mhm.
And what fulfillment looks like to you without daily operational responsibilities.
Mhm. Yeah, it's really about purpose, and it's the why question, right? It's the underlying reason that we exist. And so when I the framework I kind of come at this with is very similar to when I'm working with businesses and we're trying to establish a mission for the business. We're trying to pull
Mhm.
that out of the owner or the leadership team, and we're asking the question like, what's the deepest purpose? What drives you as a person? And we really steer them away from the industry they're working in or the services they're providing or a product they are offering, because it's not about that. It's about, well, why do you do that? Why do you offer that service? So in terms of this purpose driven question for identity for the owner, it's like, well, why did you want to start a business? Why are you a business owner? why do you find purpose in doing that? Because if you can answer that, then that same purpose can be deployed outside of being a business owner,
That is so
if that
true.
makes sense.
Yes,
All
that
right, we
is
got to
so
hustle
true.
because we don't want
Okay,
we
I
don't want
know.
our recording here to be 45 minutes.
Right.
Let's move on to number two. Designing how you want to spend your time. What are we getting into here, Tabitha?
Oh, everybody says, "Oh, well, I'm gonna just retire and I'm gonna golf." That's not designing how you wanna spend your time. Um, really, this is where we need the owner to focus in on some intentionality. So that way they don't get restless or uncertain on how they're gonna live their daily lives. Ask yourself, do I want structure, flexibility, maybe a mix of both? How much time will I devote to my family or travel or hobbies or personal pursuits? Do I want to mentor, advise, or explore new business opportunities? Having a defined vision for your time ensures your exit supports the life you want to live.
Mhm. Yeah, I think even to the other extreme, I think a lot of people that I meet that are purpose driven and they've retired in air quotes, they say I've never been busier in my life because I'm trying
Hmm.
to accomplish all these things, and it's really now it's not about, oh, I have no idea what to do with myself. It's more about how do I how do I accomplish the things I still want to accomplish, and it's about time management in a whole different way. So I think that's really cool when somebody, I meet people in their 70s and 80s and they're just like, oh my gosh, I'm doing all these things and I don't have enough time in the day, and I love that because I mean that's what drives us, right?
Yes. Yes. I mean, it's so important to have that purpose.
Yeah.
So, something to
Okay.
really think about.
And then number three is choosing where. I love this because just thinking, once you're free and you're not tied to your brick and mortar shop anymore, and maybe you never were, but just thinking about the freedom that you have, which was the whole premise of this blog post. Where do you want to live? So, what are some of the questions here, Tabitha?
Um, Things you want to ask to clarify your life vision and things you need to consider whether you want to relocate or stay in your current community. I know when I want to go south, Bill. I don't want another one of these Ohio winters. How close do you want to be to your family and your friends? And what environment best supports your health, your well-being, and your long-term happiness?
Hmm.
And these are really important things to consider before as part of your succession plan or exit plan.
Yeah, I live here in Michigan, and I always ask people, they love snow because I love snow, and
I know you're
we have
weird.
like 14 inches of snow on the ground right now. And people go, I hate snow. Like, well, you do realize you're living in the wrong state. Maybe you should go down south or go to Arizona or something.
I
So,
just want, yeah, I want toes in the sand during the winter. I'll come home in the summer. I have no problem with that.
I mean, there's preferences like that, but also considerations about where are your grandchildren, and maybe there's health
Hmm.
considerations. Um, I've spent quite a bit of time in the Denver area, and uh, one of the clients I was working with there told me that a lot of people move to Denver because there's so much sunshine and there's so much to do. It's just a beautiful place, part of the country, but the air is very, very dry and it's very dusty. And so people that have allergies and things realize, I can't live here. And they end up going to Phoenix or somewhere else where there's not that dust in the air. So, even health considerations can play into this.
Hmm. Absolutely.
And then number four is defining your future role with the business, because some people stay involved, right? We don't have to completely bug out. So, Tabitha, walk us through this.
Oh, absolutely. Exiting doesn't always mean you're walking away completely. Some owners, they do want that clean break. They want to be free and done with it. Others prefer to stay involved, and that can even be as an advisor or in a mentorship role. And
Mhm.
so you need to figure out like how much involvement feels right, if any, whether continued engagement energizes you or drains you.
Mhm.
and how to structure a transition that benefits both you and the business.
Yeah, I think it's super cool when I'm dealing with a 30 something year old business owner and they go, "Oh, that's my dad over there in the shop," and he's like got a broom out and he's like sweeping the floor and he's just happy to be the sweeper and nothing
Yeah.
else.
Yep.
He's not interfering. He's not questioning anything. He's just happy to, or he's the truck driver or I water plants. Just like have some minor. I think that's super cool, but it
I
doesn't
bring
have
in
to
the
be that.
donuts. Yeah,
It could
I
be
bring.
more of a, like you say, mentor,
Yep.
strategist, that type of thing, being involved, maybe the quarterlies or the annuals or board of directors, that type of thing.
The
So there's
voice
so
of
many different options
wisdom.
here. Yeah,
Yeah. Offering the
so many different
wisdom and
options.
reason. Yep.
And then number five, the last item here in the blog for this month is clarifying the impact you want to make. So walk us through this, Tabitha.
All right. So financial success, it's only part of the story. Many owners define success in terms of the impact they leave behind for their employees, for family, and for the community in general. So this is one of my favorite things. Is asking, what do you want your legacy to be? What do you want to leave? What do you want people to remember you for? How do you want the employees to be supported after you step back? And are you going to make plans for that? And also ask, where you can invest your time, energy, and resources to create true meaning.
Yeah, there's so many different opportunities for volunteerism, to mentor young folks or give back in some way in the community. And even if you're limited, physically to do things, I mean, there's so much you can do online now to really make a difference. The world, it's never been easier to find ways to contribute if you're really thoughtful about it and really looking for those opportunities. The opportunities are endless. It's just
Mhm.
more about matching your interest and how you want to spend your time and what really means, what's meaningful to you to leave that impact.
Yeah,
Um,
and again, that word legacy, like, what are people how are you touching people or changing, well, I like to say is changing their lives,
mhm, for sure.
what do you want to leave behind? I think
Mhm.
is so important, and to think about that when it comes to your purpose.
Well, let's go ahead and wrap things up. Tabitha, I'll give you the last word, but I think this was a really great blog post for this month. There's people in my circle that just focus on this 100%,
Hmm.
and I think it's so cool because it's so important to have that thoughtfulness about what's next, what's afterward, and especially if it's really holding you back from moving forward. Maybe this is an area we really need to help you with and focus on. So, Tabitha, I'll give you the last word here.
All right. I just encourage everybody to take the next step. Your exit strategy should support your life, not define it.
Awesome. All right, everybody, have a great month. We'll talk to you soon.
Take care.